They're down 14 in the second half, or 13 or 14 in the second half. And Cecilia, they had to use a lot to come back in that game.
Well, they were down 15 with 11 minutes left to play in the second half. And they used not just energy, but 12 people to get them back in the game. They have to not just be physically drained, but emotionally drained. Howard, we left this gym at 11:45 last night.
That's a long night of basketball. We'll see how they handle it here. Siena, the home uniform, since they are the top seed, the 4-seed St. Peter's in their road blue, trimmed in white. That's Sue Porter, starting point guard this year after serving as a backup in that role. In the lane, Felicia Harris. Well, she's making us look good for the open. Felicia Harris gets the first points of the game.
Well, she's just explosive. She can go to the basket, and I'm not sure if you have to defend Wicks with Baker, if anyone else can defend Harris.
Look at that spin move by McKissick in the lane off the glass for the Saints' first bucket.
And McKissick is the player that was the biggest surprise in the game that they played against Niagara. McKissick had a season-high 17 points, drove to the basket, and looked like a first-team All-Leaguer. Coach, he said at the end of the game that McKissick, she had been waiting all season for McKissick to realize how good she could be.
Well, that's a great thing if you're Gina Castelli. The options you have offensively with this team. This is the highest scoring team in the MAAC, by the way. They averaged over 76 points a game, and they were just 1/10 of a point away, or actually 2/10 from being the highest scoring team in the history of Siena women's basketball. They can't get that one to fall inside, as Jansoni couldn't get it to go. Porter coming back for the Peahens, who lost both games to Siena in the regular season, but both were tight. A 6-point loss at St. Peter's and a 5-point loss at Siena.
And the games went down to the wire, so that I would imagine tonight, Howard, that we're going to see the same kind of game. This game isn't going to be determined in the first 35 minutes of play. The last 5 minutes, someone's going to step up and take it. The edge that St. Peter's does have is Mike Rinelli's teams have been in these positions before. They know how to win the big games. You fear that the sophomores and freshmen that Siena's got in the court may not have that same kind of experience. Can she play? Can she play?
She doesn't look nervous for a sophomore in her first MAAC tournament semifinal.
You know, she's a junior national player. She's a foreign player that's played great competition. I just love watching her play. I've become a Gunter Basco fan.
Dickinson can't get that shot to fall. Rebound and the offensive putback for Harris. So St. Peter's and Siena tied for 2 minutes in. These two teams met here in Buffalo the last time the tournament was here. They met in the final game as Baker is fouled on the drive by Wicks. And in that matchup, Siena lost by 2.
Now take a look, Howard, here. You see the move. She goes strong. She pivots. She turns. She lays it off the glass off. She has just got such an offensive repertoire that we're in for a treat tonight, whether she's outside, away from the basket, or inside in the post.
But she does the dirty work on the boards as well, and they get it into Bashko, and she misses, but there's the rebound, and it kicks back out to Baker. She led the MAAC in rebounding as well, and she was third in steals. So she's an all-around ball player, not just someone who just scores. She does a lot for the Saints and loses the handle on that one. They'll say it was touched by St. Peter's.
Well, I've likened her to Larry Bird play. She's an old-time basketball player. She's a player that can do so many things. She doesn't have a specialty. She's someone that a coach could look to. If she needed someone to bring the ball up, she could ask Gunter to do it. If she needed someone to rebound, she could ask her to do it. And she's a selfless ball player. I think you're going to see why her teammates enjoy her as much as they do.
Baseline drive. Baker is called for charging. Nice work by Sue Porter defensively to draw that foul.
Well, St. Peter's is known for its defense. Porter just stands her ground. Baker tries to turn the corner. Porter gets the little nudge and takes the fall, and it was a good call.
Porter sets up the offense. Dickinson, a very dangerous scorer, but somewhat streaky. Inside, they try and get it to Cromer, and she loses the handle and then gets called for traveling.
Well, Cromer's a big kid. I mean, she's physically going to give Jansoni some trouble in there because she has her by a couple of inches, and she's a stronger player. And Cromer last night was saddled with early fouls, didn't play much of the first half.
Now, Cromer has traditionally played well in this tournament. Bashko, the shot wiped out with the turnover on the traveling call. Cromer has stepped her game up when it comes to tournament time. And I'm sure Mike Rinelli hoping that she will do the same thing here as a senior from Queens, New York. Time for early on.
Yeah, well, last night on the sidelines, Howard, he was screeching to get the ball inside, knowing what a difference she could make in the ball game. And it wasn't until the second half that the team was able to do that.
Courtney Wicks, second team All-MAAC, getting that last basket. Probably the best, if not the best, one of the best athletes in this league. Jansoni underneath, and she gets called for traveling. So Bosko and Jansoni getting the ball down low effectively, but taking steps and turning it over on back-to-back possessions.
But they show no emotion, whether it's a big basket or a mistake. They just go back down and play some defense.
You see the teams combining for 5 turnovers in not quite the first 4 minutes. Hit the boards hard as Wicks and Cromer, and the ball eventually comes out to Siena. It'll be Siena possession as St. Peter's on the end line when they touch the basketball. But good hustle to the boards by Courtney Wicks.
It doesn't surprise me, though, when you mention the turnovers, that the teams both are a little tight. They know they're one game away.
Well, we saw that in the morning game.
Yeah,
sure,
in the first 10 minutes, you watch them play, and you say, you know, they're going to just play it out, and it's not until they get that feeling that this is just another ball game to them that those turnovers will begin to disappear.
Well, that's one thing we touched on. As Bosko hits the 3. Well, we said an all-around game, so you've seen her go inside, but you've seen her now step out and hit the 3. One thing that Gina Castelli was worried about, how will the young players handle the pressure of the MAAC tournament? All of those underclassmen in the starting lineup. Wicks with the penetration draws the foul as 3 players collapsed in there, and I believe Sasha Baker will get it. If she is going to get charged, that would be her second personal foul. 7-6, the Saints with the early lead over the P-Heads. 15:33 left in the first half of this women's semifinal game on the MAAC Television Network. Fairfield awaits the winner of this game in tomorrow night's 7 o'clock MAAC championship game for the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. By the way, HSBC is proud to sponsor the HSBC Family Section. Tickets and programs for this game were provided by HSBC, your world of financial services. Well, 3 lead changes, 2 ties, and we're only 4.5 minutes into the game. We hope this is going to be the theme of this game throughout the contest. If it is, we'll be in for a nail-biter tonight.
And the big players, Howard, have come to play. They've done the job. The players that we had identified as being key players in the game have just stepped up.
Cromer gets that hoop for St. Peter's. Let's check in quickly with Teal Stevens. Teal?
Okay, guys, had a chance to listen into Coach Granelli's huddle, and he said 5 people have to play the ball. If the ball goes inside, don't be afraid to take the 3, but try to work the ball inside. Relax offensively. You're just too jittery.
Interesting comments.
And cut off the baseline for Bosko.
Oh, yeah, by the way, don't forget. You know, interesting comments about the 3, because St. Peter's did set a school record. I mean, you know, traditionally you think St. Peter's, you think defense. But this team is a little bit different by P-Hen standards with Mike Cornelius Harris with a beautiful cut inside. They can shoot the 3 and they can score. They're probably better offensively than they have been defensively in the past.
This team is dangerous. When you watch St. Peter's play and you look at their personnel, what you don't know is who's going to have a big game. You don't know if the starter is going to have a big game or if a player coming off the bench is going to burn you. It's that kind of a ball team.
Well, Harris a good defender, but she's got a tough matchup right now inside with Bosko. This is Anderson, the point guard, with the fall away, can't get it, and Wicks grabs the board on the baseline.
St. Peter's is a good rebounding team and really limits the amount of opportunities that a team will get a second shot. You've seen that Siena's not picked up a lot of second chance shots.
Well, Mike Cornelli said try the 3, and it was an open look for Harris, but she couldn't get it to fall. Audra Spanulo in the game now. Helping out in the backcourt, pushing it. Jansoni underneath with a nice pass from Anderson in the bucket.
And lots of eye contact between those 2 players. Jansoni points to the baseline. Anderson just gives her the nod. She makes a quick move and the ball's delivered.
Spanulo, one of the seniors on this team from Bridgeport, Connecticut, into the front court. They beat the pressure. Dickinson into the corner for Harris. 11-10 Saints, and they force the turnover. Anderson, the sophomore, pushing the ball up court. McKissick with some room, pulls up for the jumper a little too hard. Then she fouls Felicia Harris, trying to reach in and strip that ball away.
Just take a look here about where everybody is on this court. Everyone's running the 5 lanes of the court, and you see that they fill lanes. Anderson catches Jansoni, who really is the trail coming down, and lays the ball in hands. Jansoni puts it up. Now, Jansoni is the Rookie of the Year this year. So you have a freshman, you have a Coach of the Year, and you have a Player of the Year on one team.
pretty much a sweep for Siena.
And they're all coming back, Howard.
Yeah. You saw Anna Barthold a moment ago, number 20 for St. Peter's checking in. The sophomore from Sweden. And Lindsay Gonzalez, the freshman from Haverstraw, New York. 15 in blue a moment ago running the offense. This is Dickinson. Now Gonzalez with 8 on the shot clock. Driving on Anderson and draws the foul on the drive.
Gonzalez played very well last night. She's a freshman who came in the second half. Coach Granelli went to his bench. He wasn't happy with what was happening, and they responded big time. So if they have the same kind of confidence that they played with last night, these freshmen are doing a terrific job.
Gonzalez had 11 points in 19 minutes off the bench in that second half rally. Barthold can't get the turnaround to fall. 7 minutes in, here in Buffalo, you see the score. Siena leading St. Peter's 11-10. That's Jolene Johnston in the game for the Saints as well, number 40 in white, as both coaches have options on the bench for sure. Although Mike Granelli maybe not sure what he gets some nights from his bench. Nice drive by Andres Spramulo there for her first bucket of the game.
And Spramulo really is a player that coaches love. She's a 50th senior, has had 3 major surgeries on her knee, came in as a freshman and had been hurt at the end of her senior year and has had setback after setback and keeps coming out to play in practice. You love a senior that will set that kind of a standard for you.
Felicia Harris, such a sweet stroke. Just her release, it seems perfect when she puts that ball up in the air, and she's got 8 already for the Peahens, who are down 1.
And she's come into her own in this tournament. She's averaged 12 all during the year, but in this tournament, she's been a 20-point scorer.
They double Yansoni. Look how she gets away from it for the easy basket.
And she looks as if she's not working very hard, Howard. You know, and that's not a criticism of her, but it looks easy to her. And as it looks so easy, you just say, boy, you know, if it looked hard, how good could she be?
Dickinson, and she cans a 3. Big bucket for Beth Ann Dickinson, her first 3 of the game, and we're tied at 15. Yeah, this is definitely a different game than the one we saw this morning. That was more of a slugfest between Fairfield and Loyola. Neither team shooting the ball well, but these two are shooting very well.
Well, Siena, at the second half of the season, when Yansoni really started to come and started asking for the ball, began to pick up their pace a little bit, knowing that they could go inside and they would have a power player. She takes another look at the basket, doesn't make it, and now you have a player step in, take a rebound.
Well, Johnston tried to get it to go up there and couldn't fall, but boy, you know, that's such a tough matchup. Yansoni, they're playing behind her in the post, and Barthold giving inches and height and weight is behind her in the post. That's a tough matchup. You got to try and deny her the basketball some way, but you know, you can get burned in either way, unfortunately.
Well, Yansoni is a little faster than Cromer is going down the court, and that's part of the reason that Coach Granelli took her out of the ball game, because Yansoni was beating her down the court.
Tied at 15 and a timeout here in Buffalo. 10:54 left in the first half. You're watching the MAAC tournament on the MAAC Television Network. And you get a good look at the Coach of the Year in the MAAC, Gina Castelli from the Siena Saints. The Did You Know feature brought to you by Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Did you know that Siena swept all 3 basketball honors? Gunta Bashko, Player of the Year, Liana Yansone, the Rookie of the Year, and Gina Castelli winning Coach of the Year for the 4th time at Siena. And Yansone, by the way, was the MAAC Rookie of the Week for the last 5 consecutive weeks of the season. That's never been done. That many consecutive weeks for Rookie of the Week award. Never been done in the history of the MAAC. Underway again at 15, a tie here. And a charging call.
Coach Castelli and I spoke earlier this week, and what she had said was that the only award that she wanted, her team wanted, was the championship trophy at the end of this week, because she felt as if her players had played well and the awards were great, but she wanted to take them to the next level. Yansoni, to pick up what you had talked about, Yansoni's last 4 weeks of basketball were about as good as they got. And that's where she really sewed up the Rookie of the Year, because she just dominated. And that's when Siena went on. They've been 13-0 now since January. The last team that they lost to was Fairfield late in January at Siena. So since then, they've just controlled the league.
Megan McGonigal with a hook gets her first points of the game. 17-15 Saints. Last foul, by the way, on Courtney Wick, so she sits down with 2 fouls, and that's Layla Willis holding the ball right now, number 14 for St. Peter's, a sophomore from Sheffield Village, Ohio. Beehens give the ball away. Here comes Chrissy Lawliger for Siena, getting her first action of the game. the junior from Springfield, PA, running the offense right now as Siena gets some of the starters a little breather here. It's been a pretty good pace so far. 7 lead changes already. We're just past the halfway point of the first half. Well, you mentioned about Siena as Anderson tries the 3, and certainly well within her range, but can't get it to drop. Body's going on the floor for this one. It's tied up. The arrow will keep it with Siena. They've done everything but win the tournament. They've won the regular season 3 of the last 4 years. They've won awards. They've had players of the year. Melanie Halker, now Gunta Boschko, coach of the year. As we mentioned, she's won it 4 times. Now that, look at that, 8 lead changes today. The one thing they haven't done is win this tournament. In fact, they've only made it to the final once, and that was here 2 years ago when they lost to St. Peter's. A great game here that went right down to the end, and St. Peter's winning it 64-62. So this is the lone stumbling block left for Siena.
Well, early on, Coach Castelli felt her team didn't have enough confidence to win. But right now, Howard, this team is playing as if they have played together for 4 years. So I'm not sure that confidence is a problem any longer. It's, do they come out? Do they play good basketball?
Harris has a little room. Thought she might shoot it there, but instead she gives it up. Dickinson looking for a little help. Swings left, comes back. Now she'll try a left elbow jumper. And the board taken down by Spermulo. But as good as you are, you know what? If there's one team everybody wants to avoid playing in the MAAC tournament, it's St. Peter's.
Well, no one wants to play St. Peter's. And, you know, teams can say and kids can say, oh, we don't care who we play. And Fairfield, as much as I enjoy Fairfield, watching them play, I'm not sure they're being honest when they say to you that they don't care who they play, you know, tomorrow. I think that they don't want to be playing St. Peter's because of the history that St. Peter's has had in this tournament. They are a great upset team. And to get them here in this semifinal round is the toughest challenge that the Siena team has faced so far this season.
Now, the 19-year history of the MAAC, Mike Grinelli has seen his team win this tournament 8 times. It is the most dominant program in the league, and there's something about them. I mean, this is a down year by St. Peter's standards. We're saying that as they win 17 games and go 11-7 in the MAAC. But by MAAC standards, this was a down year for them. They haven't been this lowest seed since '94.
If you could see me on television, I'm shaking my head.
Well, because of the numbers they put up. I know, it's amazing to say that.
17 wins, Howard, and he's saying
it's a down year.
It's a down year.
Harris now has 10 with that bucket. Well, I mean, they lost games that normally St. Peter's doesn't lose. They lost to Marist this year. They lost to Ryder. They lost to Niagara. They normally win those games.
And it's been a long time that those teams had ever beaten St. Peter's. So, but Mike Grinelli gets them ready for this tournament. They are so prepared to play in a championship round that I don't know what he's feeding them, but it is something that he might think about producing on mass.
Well, he's 2 for 2 in Buffalo, so it must be the wings.
Yep.
I thought McKissick might have kicked that one, but she gets the ball, looking for help, 3-on-1. Oh, look at the behind-the-back pass to the trailer. Spermulo and the whole Siena bench is up, leaping up and down on that last pass.
And I think half of the fans are Coach Castelli's family because she's only down the street and has grown up in the area, and they're just all up there just hooting and hollering.
Now, Gina Castelli had a great career at Canisius College here in Buffalo. In fact, she's in the Hall of Fame for that school. In fact, she's still number 3 in a lot of key offensive categories and graduated in 1986. Boschko works it on the near wing. Anderson. Boschko's got 1 3 already. Can't get that one to fall. Look at her hustle and follow to miss. And she almost got a piece of it. Well, you don't see that very often, Cecilia. A lot of kids, they shoot the 3 and then they start backing away.
Well, she just does it all, you know. I just, if I were a basketball coach, I just want to take her home and find 4 players to play with her, and that's
carbon
just the
copy
thing.
her too, you know.
Because, and she seems to play with such an attitude of calmness that really helps the team stay calm in critical situations. Nice
drive by Spermulo, but she can't get the layup to drop. It goes out of bounds, and we're headed to a timeout. What a great game here in the second women's semifinal of the day. 6:59 left in the first half. Siena leads St. Peter's 19-17. Back with more in a moment on the MAAC Television Network.
Marist College prepares students to compete in the .com world, educating the mind as well as educating the heart. Marist is committed to helping students develop the strong values to serve them well beyond their college years. Marist is a member of the Templeton Honor Roll, a select group of 100 colleges and universities nationwide, recognized for their commitment to inspire students to lead ethical and civic-minded lives. Marist College, proud of its heritage, preparing tomorrow's leaders.
Get a look at Mike Grinelli and the St. Peter's bench. Down 2 to Siena in a very entertaining tournament basketball game here in Buffalo. Speaking of entertainment, this would be fun to cover these. Disney's Wide World of Sports joins forces with the MAAC to create a unique experience for MAAC athletes. Here's a list of some upcoming MAAC championships at Disney. Men's and women's golf in April 2001 and 2002. Women's soccer November of this year. November of 2002, women's volleyball. For ticket and travel package information, visit www.maacsports.com or www.anthonytravel.com. Well, all of Siena's points except the one three-pointer by Gunta Boschko have come in the paint. They have really done a solid job of getting it inside. And now they're trying to get it inside, and the Peahens can't get Cromer's shot to fall. And a foul on St. Peter's, a push-off. Shaka Kushni, the freshener from Englewood, New Jersey, checking in after the timeout. And she gets called for the foul.
That's her first personal and the third team foul.
Let us check in again with the third member of our broadcast team, Teal Stevens. Teal?
Hey, thanks a lot, Howard. You know, you're right on the money with that. Coach Grinelli said in this huddle, you've got to box out Jansone. She's going to getting every offensive glass rebound that you can imagine. And they need to take the ball off and attack them on the wing and work the ball inside. And I hate to beg to differ with you guys, but I think Fairfield would rather play Siena. Actually, they lost to St. Peter's last year and lost badly. They would not have a problem with playing St. Peter's either. So it's anybody's ball game, guys. Back to you.
I think Fairfield's just glad they're there. No matter who they're going to play, you take whoever you're going to get on Sunday night. And that should be a great championship game no matter who is in there. 10 on the shot clock into Cromer. Look at Boschko defensively helping out Jansoni, but loose ball to Porter. Her jump shot is an air ball. Boschko saves it. Here comes Lolliger and the Saints. 3-on-2 if they hurry. Anderson down the middle and draws the foul.
Siena is running. And that's a new twist that Coach Castelli has worked in the last 10 or 12 games. She's trusting that her team can rebound, they can fill the lanes, and that she has substitutions. And you see as they come down here, if we get a replay on this, you'll see it. Everybody's in lanes. You have two trailers going down. And Anderson has done a very nice job at the point. Whenever St. Peter's has really dominated defensively, it's done it from the point out to wing. And they're letting Anderson play and see passing lanes. And part of the reason that the ball, Howie, is getting back inside so easily is that the pressure on Anderson hasn't been as great as it could be.
Well, those are our first free throws of the game. Anderson hits 1 of 2. Boschko with the rebound. Anderson can't get the follow to go. Kushni grabbed the board for St. Peter's, and here go the Peahens. It's Gonzalez running the point. 5:40 left, first half. Siena, as you see, with a three-point lead. That's the largest lead of the game. Cromer makes it 1. That's how tight it has been so far in this game.
And now we see what I had talked about. Gonzalez is really starting to take inches away from Anderson, making her throw the ball in the perimeter further from the basket than an entry pass can be made. And that's the way to keep the ball out of the paint.
McKissick on the wing. Jansoni. Boschko. And the ball loose, went through the legs of Kushni and picked up by Jansoni. Spermulo on the drive before the shot. A foul on the drive on St. Peter's. Looks like it might be going against Layla Willis. It will indeed. That's her first.
What Spermulo is going to the basket like a woman possessed today. Both her and Anderson have the green light on this play-to-play to go right at St. Peter's. It's a great strategy, and it seems to have worked for Siena early on.
And they get it inside again. Jansone gets her 5th and 6th points of the game. Well, Spermulo's got no fear. So she'll go inside on anybody, on any team, at any point. She just will, you know, pretty much do whatever she has to do to help this team win. One of the gutsiest players in this league. Cromer inside, can't get it to bounce down. Jansoni grabs the board.
And St. Peter's is being held to 1 shot per possession, which is very uncharacteristic of a St. Peter's team because this team can rebound.
Yeah, they've had some very good rebounders over the years that have played for St. Peter's in defense and offensive. Both sides of the floor. They always do a good job on the glass. Saints with the ball and the 3-point lead. Jansoni into Boschko. Look at the spin move underneath and the foul. Jansoni with a spin on Kushni draws the foul and gets the hoop to fall.
She's a magician when she's 2 feet from the basket. She plays with her back to the basket. If you take a look at here, Jansoni's looking for her on the inside. She looks to the block, turns, spins, make the move, gets hit. This is about as much emotion as you'll see from Gunta. She throws her arm up, she throws her fist up in celebration and gets to the line, gets calm again.
He averaged 16 points, 10 rebounds this season, led Siena in both of those categories. And she hits the free throw. She also led the team in three-point percentage. Pretty good for a post player. 30-second timeout as St. Peter's now sees itself down by 6, and you don't want Siena to make a run here in the trailing part of the first half. You want to try and keep this game close going into halftime. The winners of the New York Lottery MAAC Scholar Athlete Award are Carmen Massariello from Siena College and Becky O'Donoghue of Niagara University. Now, Becky is a communications major, which means she'll have my job in another few years. 3.65 GPA from Dobbs Ferry, New York. The New York Lottery will provide new computers to the elementary schools for Becky and for Massariello. There's Carmen. 3.58 GPA from Clifton Park, New York in the Capital District. And again, the computers will be provided to their elementary schools. And the award, by the way, based on GPA, community participation, and good sportsmanship. The New York Lottery, supporting education since 1967, salutes Massariello and O'Donoghue for their achievements. By the way, even though Niagara's out of the tournament, we'll see Becky O'Donoghue and her twin sister, Jessie, on Sunday night. They'll be singing the anthem before the women's title game. They usually sing the national anthem at home before the Niagara games, and I believe they're going to be singing here tomorrow night. You see the huddle. Mike Grinelli at work. I mean, it's absurd, some of the numbers he's been able to put up at St. Peter's in such a great coaching career. And you can find out more about Mike Grinelli and his coaching career and everything else about MAAC basketball. Just go online, check out the conference website. It's www.maacsports.com. It's updated regularly and provides current information about your favorite MAAC teams and players. Plenty of stuff about basketball there, but all of the sports are covered at maacsports.com. A little pressure on Gonzalez, and she's bumped by Boschko on the double team on the way up court. Boschko picks up her first foul of the game.
Well, they're one of the few teams, Siena, that will go from a zone press. They play a 2-2-1 back into a player-to-player, and it's been successful for them. They slow teams down with it.
First foul on Boschko. It is the fifth team foul on Siena. 6 on St. Peter's off the steal. McKissick doubled and stripped and fouled. Dickinson reaching in. Gonzalez back there as well. And I believe the foul will go on Dickinson.
Well, St. Peter's can't let this game get too far ahead of itself, because if the score ends up a 10 or 15-point score at the halftime, I don't know that St. Peter's has the emotional stamina to come back and do it again on a second night. Certainly, emotionally, it was draining. And physically, you don't know the toll that it took on players. So, Coach Grinelli, you're going to see him call a few more timeouts in this half so he doesn't lose that 5 or 6 point kind of barometer that he wants to keep it at.
Now, Siena's stretching it out a little bit here after the 2 free throws by McKissick. The sophomore from Detroit makes it a 27-19 game. Harris has been the best offensive weapon for St. Peter's so far, but she'll give out to Gonzalez, and she moved her foot, and Gonzalez gets called for traveling. Not happy. She slams the ball down, and that'll take us to a timeout with 3:47 remaining. Here in the first half, Siena has opened up an 8-point lead, 27-19 over St. Peter's. This is the MAAC Television Network. Siena on a 10-2 run over the last 4 minutes and 13 seconds. That's why they have the 8-point lead right now. Fans, the 2001 Easton MAAC Hockey League Championship hits the ice March 15th through the 17th at University of Connecticut Ice Arena in Storrs, Connecticut. All session passes affordably priced at $12. For information, call toll-free 1-877-@UConn. And the winner of the MAAC tournament gets an automatic bid to the NCAA Hockey Tournament, which will have its Frozen Four here in Buffalo in a couple more years, right here at HSBC Arena. Howard Simon, Cecilia DeMarco, and Teal Stevens here, bringing you the second semifinal game for the women. The winner of this matchup plays Fairfield tomorrow night at 7 for the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. We still have more basketball coming up after this. 2 more games to come in men's quarterfinal action. Niagara and Canisius at 7, followed by Siena and Manhattan. Marist and Iona moving along to the semis earlier today on the men's side. Spramulo with the jumper from the corner, no good. Cromer with the rebound for the Peahens.
Well, St. Peter's has backed themselves into a 1-3-1 zone. And Siena may not have recognized it right away. So look to see Siena stretch them out a little bit with a little bit more baseline passing.
McKissick's three from the corner bounces over and out of bounds. And let's check in again with Teal Stevens. Teal?
Yeah, Cecile, you're exactly right. Coach Granelli switched into a 1-3-1. He's trying to bottle up that middle. He says, you know, Spermulo can only drive to the basket. You got to know that. We've got to box out Jensone. Got to keep her outside. Meanwhile, Gina Castelli says, keep going inside. Back to you.
Yeah, just pound it inside. They've had success doing that in this game. Vasko, although she did hit a three, as it's a couple buckets inside. Jensone has 6. And they've been very effective there. And she's right, Spermulo has had a field day early on driving in this basketball game. They've got to cut that off on the baseline. Down 8. Cromer doubled, tries to go across the lane, but Spermulo knocks it out of bounds.
I like the 1-3-1, and I think Coach Granelli's move is a good one. The problem with the 1-3-1 is that if a good passing team is just willing to move the basketball, it'll open up the middle even to a larger extent. If you have a good passing team, you'll see the box open.
Nice block by Vasko on the attempt from Felicia Harris. And a wise timeout call by St. Peter's and Sue Porter, who was on the floor with really no place to go with the basketball, and yelled for the timeout and got the call, so St. Peter's can maintain possession up down 8 rather with 2:37 to go here in the first half. It's been an up and down season, as you see, the drought for St. Peter's offensively. Mike Granelli admitting that it's been somewhat of a roller coaster ride for his team. We talked about their I hate to say problems in MAAC play when they went 11-7 and got the number 4 seed, but he had so many seniors graduate off of last year's team that won the tournament in Albany. 4 key players graduated off that team. That bench players moved up to starters, which, you know, depleted the bench a little bit, and he hasn't gotten a handle on this team this season.
Take a look at Gunther's block, boy. She had all ball, and it results in a tie ball that St. Peter's needs to use a timeout. But, you know, that kid can do everything. I know that we keep, it sounds as if we're being repetitive, but each time she does something new, I'm scratching my head and saying, you know, what else is it she'll show us today?
Dickinson's shot did not hit rim, so it's a shot clock violation. And Siena will get it back, trying to extend their lead. You know, the Saints, 22 victories this season, and the MAAC regular season title. They turn the ball over there. Saints in good position for a bid to the NCAA tournament no matter what happens in this tournament. Same story could be made for Fairfield as well, and I'm sure we'll document that more tomorrow night. Porter cans a 3 for St. Peter's.
And just when you think St. Peter's is beginning to slip a little bit, one of its players steps up and does something big, and Porter was the player tonight that did it in making the 3 and bringing it back down to a 5-point ball game.
Big bucket for Porter, and look at that running baseline shot from Erica Anderson, the sophomore point guard for Siena.
She's having a big game. She's having a big game, and she's having her way with Porter, and that's unusual because Porter usually is a water bug on defense. She can be real trouble to an offensive player.
Well, you don't think of shots from a point guard, but Gina Castelli says, you know, more than anybody else, Anderson has hit some very big shots for this team. Harris got room, took the jumper, and she's got 12. Hits big shots, clutch threes, and comes up with big stops defensively. That's a lot to get out of your point guard. You just be happy if they run the offense nicely. Spermulo has been a big weapon off the bench offensively as she hits the baseline jumper, and she's got 6.
And again, a senior's out there who doesn't want this to be the last game that she plays in.
31-24. Siena with the lead. 1:04 left first half. Got to get Harris closely guarded. They do that time, but she can't hit the runner. Had 2 on her when she went into the lane that time. Harris leading all scorers with 12 so far. She's got half of St. Peter's points in this game. Willis trying to grab the board. She does. 45 left in the first half as you see the clock, so they cannot hold on for one final shot. Willis spinning. Porter hit a 3 a moment ago. Can't get that one to drop. Spermulo, nice job boxing out Willis to get the board, and they can hold for 1.
And Spermulo is everywhere. She's driving the basket all over in loose balls and taking down some rebounds.
Let me correct myself. There's actually a 1.6-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock, so they can effectively hold for 1. And we'll see what they're going to do coming out of their huddle. As you get a good look at Gina Castelli, what a great job she has done at Siena. In this, her 11th year. As I mentioned earlier, 4 MAAC Coach of the Year honors for her, 3 MAAC regular season crowns, 5 20-win seasons for her. She is the winningest coach in the history of Siena College. And again, that one little thing missing on the resume is a MAAC tournament title. And you know they would dearly love to get that done this year for Gina and the seniors. And that would set up for a very bright future for this young basketball team, including Gunta Vaško, the sophomore from Latvia.
There is a good chance that if the right teams end up in the final, Howard, that the MAAC conference could see 2 teams.
They feel pretty confident. If Fairfield, although you know what, I think they think Siena could get there anyway, but if Fairfield and Siena are in the final tomorrow night, they feel good that both will get in. Fairfield's got a better argument in terms of the RPIs. They're at 42, I believe, and Siena was low 40s, maybe around 50. But they feel that they got a very good shot this year for 2 bids.
She goes up strong, doesn't she, Anselmi?
She's so tough to handle underneath. So as you said, the key too is that she wants the basketball, will fight for position no matter what you're doing down there underneath. She'll find a way to get to the ball, or to get in position where one of her teammates can pass her the basketball. Vaško can do the same thing, turn around, can't get that one to fall. And leaves a little too much time on the clock. Brittany Thomas with 3. And she leaves that 3 off the side of the rim, and that'll do it for the first half. A very entertaining first half of basketball. And the Siena Saints will go into the halftime break with a 7-point lead. As you see Mike Grinelli heading his team off to the locker room. 31-24, Siena leads St. Peter's. Halftime here on the MAAC Television Network.
I assumed that college would be a long series of lectures, tests, and papers. That was until I went to Niagara University. I put my logistics major to work as an intern at Praxis. I was so well prepared that after a short time, I was offered a promotion in a full-time position when I graduated.
At Niagara, learning inside and outside the classroom are both important. We encourage students to have active learning experiences in research, internships, co-ops, and study abroad.
Niagara University. Make your education an experience.
Howard Simon, Cecilia DeMarco, and Teal Stevens back at HSBC Arena in Buffalo. Halftime, and the St. Peter's Peahens trailing the Siena Saints 31-24 in this women's semifinal game. Again, the winner of this game will meet Fairfield for the women's title. Let us take a look at the I Love New York standings in the MAAC. And we talked about Siena. No team had ever won as many as 17 games since they went to the 18-game format. Hey, Fairfield wasn't that bad either. It's 16-2. Loyola 12-6 were eliminated earlier today by Fairfield. You see St. Peter's at 11-7, and then the drop-off, and that's why you saw the top 4 seeds advance into the semifinals. Clearly, they were the best teams in the MAAC this season. Now, as far as the scores, it's been a very interesting tournament, but again, it's held form. Not surprisingly, I mean, more often than not, the women's tournament will hold form, and those scores have been that way so far.
Well, all the seeds have won. In the first round, the only upset was the Iona Rider seed, where 10 beat 7 in the play-in. Other than that, we're looking at all of the teams supposed to be where they are.
Manhattan almost pulled off the upset over St. Peter's in one of the games played yesterday. Now, the play-ins, as Cecilia mentioned, Rider beating Iona, Canisius getting in past Marist. Then Rider played Fairfield tough, but the Stags pulled away. Niagara gave Loyola some fits. Canisius really not in it against Siena last night. Manhattan led by as many as 15, and St. Peter's came back and won last night's game 74-66. Now, that takes us to the brackets, and this is where we are. We're getting ready for the championship game tomorrow night. It's very simple. Fairfield, the 2 seed, has advanced into the finals, and now they're awaiting either the top seed Siena or the number 4 seed St. Peter's. And traditionally, the number 2 seed, for whatever reason, has fared better in the MAAC title game than the number 1 seed. It's been tough for the top seed to win this title sometimes.
Well, I think anytime you go in as a top seed, you have this target on your back, and the expectations sometimes become greater than the game itself. The 2 seed feels as if it's been wrongly in the 2-seed position, and I think that you come in more relaxed. If you ask Fairfield coming in, do they feel like a 2-seed? No, they feel like a 1-seed. But Siena's earned the 1-seed. But whether it's 1-2 or 1-3, this is just going to be, or 2-3, this is just going to be a great finish.
Yeah, we're looking forward to an exciting second half here, and then a great championship game tomorrow night at 7, which we'll bring you as well. More coming up from Buffalo in a moment on the MAAC Television Network.
This game is brought to you in part by the New York Lottery. New York Lotto, will you be ready if it happens to you? By Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Budget, get out of the ordinary with Budget. And by Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything.
Welcome back to Buffalo. Siena halfway toward a berth in the MAAC championship game, and the player of the year, Gunter Bashko, halfway towards a double-double, rather. 8.6 boards in the first half. Here's more from Gunter Bashko.
It may end up being the best overseas call a Lady Saints coach has ever made.
Coach Luno and his wife, she's Latvian too, so through her I think somehow it came, and he once called me and so what's up? I'm like, hey, how you doing?
An easy question to answer now. A few more calls and 12,000 miles later, Gunter Bashko arrived at Siena College, a place she'd never seen, with people speaking a language she did not know.
Some of the stuff that they say, like the transition from the Latvian language to English, it just doesn't make sense, and then like they just stumble over their own words. It's funny, but I mean, and then they learn.
Even mealtime posed a little problem.
I would see the menu, and I didn't know what is it, the word. I'm like, so what is that? And I would ask somebody else, if I wouldn't go by myself, because I would be like, oh no,
That fear is history now. Through hard work and studying, Gunter speaks English like a native. Basketball has never been a problem.
Even with the language, or how hard they've had to work, to read the book, study their notes, go for extra sessions, meet with their professors, and do well.
Basketball language is similar all over the world. It's different names, but you just pick it up really quickly.
Win is understood in any language. Gunter shares her success with her team and her family. Collecting phone cards is a hobby. Using them probably is too.
And I call my home and I write them letters, and I keep in touch with them, so that's easy. I'm happy I'm here.
Gunter Bashko, a big reason why the Saints have won 22 games this season. They're hoping for at least 2 more. We'll be back with highlights and stats from the first half in a moment on the MAAC Television Network. Welcome back to Buffalo. Siena leads St. Peter's 31-24. Let's take a look at some of the first half highlights. And we've been talking a lot about Gunter Bashko. Why not continue that talk?
Well, she'll make the first highlight. You see her move here to the basket. She just takes a player, is able to pivot, turn, lay it off the glass, gets the first 2 points of the ball game with that move. And you see a pass to Yansoni, the freshman rookie of the year. Just lays it up, puts it in. And now you're going to see Harris, the player that took St. Peter's to this game, lay it up, 15-footer, and now you'll see her drive to the basket. Another big, strong move from Harris, who's having really a good ball game. The player that has been the surprise is Mary McKissick's pass right here. You watch it to Spermulo. Spermulo lays it up there, and Spermulo has been the surprise of the half. 6 points, 15 minutes of play, 3 for 6 from the line.
First half stats brought to you by Citizens Communications. You see the shooting numbers. No free throws for St. Peter's, 4 for 5 for Siena. Neither team doing that well from three-point range. More of the turnovers to the Peahens and the bench scoring. It's a shutout for the Saints. They lead at 31-24. Second half action is coming up next from the MAAC tournament in Buffalo on the MAAC Television Network. Welcome back to HSBC Arena in Buffalo as the MAAC tournament continues. Howard Simon, Cecilia DeMarco, and Teal Stevens bringing you the second women's semifinal game. St. Peter's in the hole right now at 7, 31-24. Now, by the way, Siena, a perfect 16-0 when leading at halftime this season. That's where they are right now, and they are 20 minutes away from heading back to the MAAC final for the second time in 3 years. The Peahens and the Saints coming into play today, by the way. Siena 22-5, St. Peter's 17-10. You look at Gunta Boschko, the sophomore, the player of the year in the MAAC this season, as we get you ready for this action. And again, one of the things we talked about, it'll be interesting to see how St. Peter's responds defensively, and specifically against Boschko and Jansoni, and what Siena can do inside, and even the drives ups from Mulo.
Well, right now, Wicks is back in the ball game. This young woman has just played 10 minutes in this first half, and she is the most explosive player that St. Peter's can put on the basketball court. She's been quiet in this tournament. She didn't have a great game last night, and she hasn't played very well as yet today. She just has 2 points so far. And, you know, you take a look at her stats, and Courtney Wicks averages 15 points a ball game. So this senior could really make a difference if she comes to play in this second half and can stay out of foul trouble.
Look at that. That's dedicated fans. Don't you love that, huh? Just paint the whole body. Making the trip from Albany to Buffalo.
Yeah, that's somebody's son. That's what I look at.
A little bit of a delay there. They forgot to take the rack of basketballs off the court. They finally did it. Yeah, that's Mom and Dad have to be proud if they're at home watching right now. And we're paying for what for him to go to school? Courtney Wicks with the first shot of the half. It's an air ball. The ball goes out of bounds. It'll be Siena basketball. Erica Anderson and Mary McKissick and Sasha Baker and Liana Jansoni and Gunta Boschko. Same starting five for Gina Castelli in the second half. It is Sue Porter and Beth Ann Dickinson, Courtney Wicks, Felicia Harris, and Leah Cromer. Same starting five for the Peahens, and Mike Brunelli as well here in the second half. McKissick inside for Boschko. Double, kicks it out. McKissick, jumper, short, and Dickinson has the board.
And Baker Howard played just 4 minutes in the first half. She picked up 2 quick fouls, and she is a defensive player that will keep Wicks from getting to the basket.
Yeah, Wicks was pretty quiet too, only 2 points, and Courtney Wicks certainly one of the better or more talented players here in the MAAC, but not able to get her game going in the first half. Dickinson to Harris. Boy, Harris had a tremendous first half for St. Peter's and starts it off here. They just have to find some other offensive weapons besides Felicia Harris, unless she scores 40 points.
And Jansoni is sprinting down court, and what will happen is the ball will get up quickly, and Jansoni will see it. Cromer has to get down there, and I think that the fatigue factor might really begin to show its face in the last 10 minutes of this game. How can Cromer run with Jansoni?
Well, McKissick found herself open underneath, and as you saw, Erica Anderson with a bullet pass, a two-handed pass down low to set up that last basket. McKissick has 6, the lead back up to 7. Harris crossover to the basket, off the glass, and the foul. Boy, Felicia Harris is putting on a show. She is having a tremendous semifinal game, showing a lot of moves in this one.
Well, I'll tell you, she's going to the left. She has that crossover move that is strong and quick, and you really need to, as she starts up, give her her right side. See, every time she's hurt, Siena, she's gone to her left and used that crossover move. So, hey, send it to her right. Let's see if what she can do with her strong hand, not with her weak hand, because she's burning them tonight.
Boschko sits down with her second foul, and Gina Castelli over there talking to her about positioning defensively, just what you were making the point about. She's talking to her about how she needs to angle better on that play.
Well, she has to make her go wide or go in another direction, because Harris has just knifed her way to the basket.
Jolene Johnston, number 40, the freshman from Clifton Park, New York, in the game for Siena. Baker can't get the baseline J to fall. Here comes Wicks out of the pack, 3-on-2. Wicks isn't waiting for help. All the way to the basket, lays it up, can't get it to fall. Great burst by Courtney Wicks, but she just couldn't finish.
And that would have brought the lead down to 2. So St. Peter's is beginning to make its move.
And look what they do on the other end.
And they make you pay, don't they?
I mean, 2 minutes in, you're not going to change the course of the second half, I don't think. But that was an important pair of possessions there. Not converting on the one end, and McKissick gets it on the other.
That's a 4-point swing again.
So it's back up to 6, 35-29. A little over 2 minutes in. Second half here in Buffalo. Again, the winner of this plays Fairfield tomorrow night at 7. Traveling by Felicia Harris, caused by McKissick, who reached in and did enough to disrupt Harris on her drive into the lane.
And Harris really likes to go to her left, and she'll use the crossover move each time.
Erica Anderson, the sophomore point guard from Northeastern Massachusetts, gets called for the charge.
Well,
nice job by Porter.
Yeah, Porter had position, and she had vertical space, and Anderson leaned in and just made some contact. It was a good call on the officials' part.
Anderson's done a solid job running the offense in her 2 years at Siena. She was on the all-rookie team last season. Started every game at point guard since she came to Loudonville, New York. It's, boy, when you can get a solid point guard as a freshman, what a load off the mind that is for any coach. I mean, if you're good there, you don't have to worry about the ball being distributed and some other things.
Well, so goes the point, so goes the game. If the point guard can distribute the ball, your shooters will see the basketball, and that's what Anderson does well.
Wicks with 4 now, and it pulls him within 4, 35-31. Wicks picking up Sasha Baker. Baker, one of the better, more athletic players in the MAAC, really good at slashing to the basket, but she hasn't been able to get her offensive game going. Look at that, McKissick free on the baseline again. That's the second time she's been free down there in this half. This time the pass from Yansoni underneath.
And this team can pass the ball. They'll find your openings. If you overplay them, they'll go back door. They trust that their big people can make the pass to you as you do cut back door.
Well, some breakdowns, though, defensively for St. Peter's, allowing McKissick to get free behind the defense twice. There's a 3 for Beth Ann Dickinson, her second of the game.
She had a big night last night, and she can shoot the 3. She's a great foul shooter. She gets to the foul line, she's automatic.
Third team All-MAAC this season for her, the sophomore from Milltown, New Jersey. Almost given away by the Saints. Anderson recovered off the Baker. 3-point Saints lead. Baker just inside the foul line, and it's all net.
This is about
the game.
Yeah, this is about as well as we've seen two teams play in this tournament. It is good basketball.
Good up and down game, nice flow to it. Both teams hitting their shots, but still working on defense. It's not like they're not playing defense out there. They play defense on Harris there. Nice job by Johnston, standing her ground and making it a tougher shot. And Siena gets the basketball. Good Tabasco will check in, but first we have a timeout with 15:44 remaining in the second half. Siena 39, St. Peter's 34. This is the MAAC tournament on the MAAC Television Network. The Siena cheerleaders hoping their team will get this one over St. Peter's today and play tomorrow night for a championship. Hey, we are back in the Capital District in Albany next season. The 2002 HSBC MAAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championship will be held at the Pepsi Arena in Albany February 28th through March 4th. For ticket information, you can call 518-487-2000. It is always a great experience when this tournament hits the Capital District. They put on a great tournament there in Albany, and we're looking forward to being back there again. And, of course, it's been here in Buffalo. This is the third time, and now there's talk that this tournament is a hot ticket. It might end up in Trenton, New Jersey, maybe a few years down the road in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where there's a new arena going up. So the MAAC certainly expanding its horizons as far as the tournament is concerned. Siena with possession and the 5-point lead. Boschko over Harris, off the glass and in. Nice touch.
And just goes against the double team and just puts the ball up higher in the glass so that she can't be blocked.
The sophomore from Latvia on her way to her 12th double-double in the last 18 games. She's there as far as points, now has 10. She had 6 rebounds at the half. 7-point lead for the Siena Saints. Wicks, one-on-one, inside to Cromer. Look at the left-hand move. Nice job by Cromer to draw the foul. Really, you know, she knew that the defense was there by Yansoni, but a nice job extending the left hand to get that shot off.
And really, it was the only place that she could go. Wicks leaves her feet, Cromer makes a good pass, and really it takes the ball to the only part of the glass that she could get the ball up to.
So Leah Cromer at the free throw line, the senior from Queens, biding her time in this program, backing up a very good player in Mercy Aguedo for 3 years. And now Cromer in the starting lineup, and it's paying off.
Well, Cromer hasn't had a stellar day in the paint today. She's not scored the way that St. Peter's needs her to score in the paint. She has to put more pressure on Yansoni.
Only 1 out of 2 there. And let's check in again with Teal Stevens.
Hey guys, you know, against Fairfield, Leah Cromer had 20 points, 19 rebounds. She had a bang-out game at Alumni Hall the last time these two teams played. So she is capable of doing it. Whether or not we'll see it here tonight is another story. Back to you.
And I mentioned earlier, she's come up big in the tournament the last couple of years, coming off the bench from Mike Rinelli. But again, today, you're right, Cecilia, she has not been that big a factor. Baker can't get her shot to fall. Here come the Peahens. Points in the paint, by the way. It's a 2-to-1 advantage right now. Siena 28-14. They have outscored the Peahens in the paint. There's a strip by Anderson. Dickinson, great hustle to get it back. Porter looking down low. Cromer working on Yansoni. Trying to go right, trying to go left. Now needs help. And they will whistle. 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
And you know, Yansoni, Howard, all Yansoni is doing is she's allowing Cromer to get the ball. She's staying behind her, and when Cromer makes her move to face the basket, she sees Yansoni's big white shirt, and she's not been strong about taking the ball to the basket.
Saints fans, a little cheering behind us with the Let's Go Saints cheer, trying to see them expand on the lead. Yansoni around Cromer, and a little too hard. Ball batted around. Baker has it. Didn't hit rim, so the shot clock doesn't reset. They need to know that. It is 6 on the clock now as Baker drives, stripped, and then Anderson, I believe, reached in and fouled Porter. Yes, she did on that turnover. Neither team over the limit, by the way.
The Siena players, part of the reason that they've been successful in the paint is they're asking for the basketball.
Well, Erica Anderson, watch this last play. And Baker again knew the shot clock was running down, so she tried to create. Wicks with the turnover, and then Anderson picks up her 3rd personal foul. She stays in the game, though, with that. 14 fouls on Siena. Actually, St. Peter's has no fouls this half. Harris with 17 already, spins through the double team, and it falls in.
That was a great move, wasn't it? Boy, she had nowhere to go and still made it happen.
Boy, the junior from Red Banks, New Jersey, Felicia Harris, in her 2nd year as a starter for St. Peter's, is having a tremendous game here in the tournament. She has 19 of St. Peter's 37 points.
And now we're seeing the defensive pressure of St. Peter's pick it up a notch.
And leaning in too much is Courtney Wicks as she fouls Sasha Baker, but again, that's only their first team foul, so it'll be non-shooting. As you see, Chrissy Lolliger checking back in for Siena, the junior from Springfield, PA. We'll give Anderson a break with those 3 personal fouls. Layla Willis, you see her come in for St. Peter's, and Courtney Wicks will get a little breather.
Well, in the first half, there were only 12 fouls called. St. Peter's did not get to the foul line, and Siena just got to the foul line 5 times. So you take a look and you think of, wow, what a nice basket.
Boy, Cromer, Cromer left Yansoni, and then left Yansoni wide open, and a nice vision by Baker to see that.
So the officials, the game isn't rough at all. I think the players are just playing some good defense. The officials aren't calling touch fouls and letting the big people play a little bit.
Dickinson drives and is blocked and fouled on that one by Baker. Or check that, McKissick. And it'll be 2 shots for Beth Ann Dickinson as you get a good look at McKissick, who has 10 points.
We take a look here. Baker comes down, starts the dribble, makes a great entry pass. You see Yansoni hang on, just put it up strong. Cromer was nowhere to be found on that. She helped out a little bit on Baker and left her own player free. Dickinson can shoot the foul shot.
That's good recognition by Baker to see that. Yeah, Dickinson, is she okay? 86% from the foul line, which is 4th best in the nation. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, and last night, I think that Dickinson finished the game 8 for 9 from the foul line. So the player, and she can shoot the 3, so she hasn't taken many shots today. But to score.
She missed, but Cromer with the board. Harris with the putback. 3-point play the hard way. Harris has 21 now, and it's a 3-point game.
And St. Peter's is not going away.
Well, that's the key. I mean, Siena has been the better team overall, and they've had the lead up to 7 or 8 in this game, but St. Peter's has been there. It's never gotten out of control for them, and now they're only down 3. Fashko trying to get it herself and draws the foul.
Well, she read that Harris had picked her up, and she had a step ahead of her, and saw Cromer and knew Cromer was out of position, just went up with her left and got to the foul line.
So Gunta Boschko will head to the free throw line. Siena as a team at the foul line, not that great. They're 7th in the MAAC this season, just 68% as a team. Boschko, though, 73% at the line.
I think that the foul shooting statistics are always a little skewed, Howard. And the one foul statistic that people aren't aware of, if you know players make foul shots in clutch situations.
Like the last 5 minutes
Absolutely.
of a game.
You know, you should take the stats for the year and just toss them away and just say, when it matters, who puts the ball in the basket. And you'd be surprised, the players who don't shoot well over the course of the season seem to be the players that will step up there and win you the ball game.
I'm going to take my press notes and throw them away.
There you go.
That would make my work bag a lot easier to carry. Brittany Thomas on the wing. Pass inside, stolen by Jansone. Gives off to Lolliger. Saints up 4, trying to push it back up a little bit more. Gonzalez out there pretty high defensively to pick her up and try and disrupt the offensive flow. Boschko. And a reach-in foul on the floor. So a non-shooting situation. Well, again, Boschko trying to create, driving left of the lane, and at the very least drawing fouls. That'll take us to a break with 11:36 remaining in the second half. Great semifinal game here in Buffalo. Siena 44, St. Peter's 40. We have much more coming up in a moment. It's the MAAC tournament on the MAAC television network.
St. Peter's College, the Jesuit College of New Jersey. For more than 125 years, St. Peter's College has offered students from all economic, cultural, and social backgrounds an unsurpassed education in liberal arts, business, education, the sciences, and more, including championship athletic programs that stress academic excellence. St. Peter's College, diverse, international, Catholic, Jesuit, with campuses in Jersey City and Englewood Cliffs. St. Peter's College, the Jesuit College of New Jersey.
As you look at St. Peter's coach Mike Grinelli, let's take a look at some of the Women's Players of the Week in MAAC action this year. The Chase MAAC Women's Players of the Week, and a nice variety of players getting honored by the league this season. We are seeing Erica Anderson in action here. Gunther Boschko as well from Siena. Beth Ann Dickinson from St. Peter's. We saw Gail Strumpf. You'll see her and Megan Light in Fairfield in the championship game tomorrow night. We'll see Gunther Boschko and Strumpf once again. Holly Tapley, the top three-point shooter in the league this season. These were the Chase MAAC Players of the Week. Four-point game. Audra Spermulo back in for Siena. Provided a nice spark with 6 points off the bench in the first half. Jansone, the freshman, the rookie of the year in the league this year, off to Lolliger for her three, and it's in. Lolliger with a big three, her first points of the game, and quickly that leads back up to 7.
And Jansone was the player that set that up because Lolliger's player helped out a little bit, thinking that Jansone was going to drive to the basket, and she got a little daylight. Lolliger made a nice shot.
Gonzalez trying to drive, gets by Lolliger, and then she reaches in and gets called for the foul. We've been talking a lot about Gunther Boschko, the player of the year in the league, the Pepsi MAAC player of the year. Look at the numbers she put up this season. Over 16 points, just under 10 boards a game, and 2.5 steals. And again, just a sophomore from Latvia, led the MAAC in rebounds, 3rd in scoring, 5th in field goal percentage, and 3rd in steals. Tremendous season for Gunther Boschko, the Pepsi MAAC player of the year.
And in last night's game, she had a double-double. So that 9.9 may very well end up being, for the season, a double-double. And that's quite a tribute for a sophomore. Underneath,
Jansone can't get it to go in. Cromer did a nice job down there defensively and then grabbed the rebound for the Peahens. Lindsey Gonzalez running the offense now, the freshman from Haverstraw, New York. Here's Dickinson, guarded by Baker. Harris with 21 points so far. One-on-one on Boschko. In the lane and blocked by Boschko, who chases the ball down, but she tried to call timeout before she went out of bounds. She couldn't. Not. It is blue ball. Yep, you can see her motion. I want to call timeout while you're flying out of bounds.
Well, Harris again, crossover move, goes to her left. Gunther's a little late in getting there, but makes a great block on the ball. She's going after it. She's in the air, making the time. She couldn't quite get that tee for the official to see, but we knew what she was trying to do.
Great hustle. She yelled it out while she was reaching for the ball, and then, couldn't put the hands together to make the tee. So St. Peter's, with 5 on the shot clock, maintains possession. Dickinson with the three, got to put it up, hits rim, no good. Rebounds from Mulo, will hold on to it for Siena. You see her left knee with the brace on it. She had a torn ACL, missed an entire season. Had 3 other surgeries that she's come back from to play for Siena. Just gives it all she's got every game. Gonzalez back the other way, down the middle, left side Harris with the fake and the reach in. Spermulo says, no, me? What, are you kidding me?
Plus, Spermulo's been just a little spark plug today. She's come out and she's played knowing that, you know what, this may be the end of my career, but I'm going to go out a winner, and she's playing like a winner.
First personal on Spermulo, and it is Felicia Harris at the free throw line. 7th team foul on the Saints, so it's a 1-and-1. Just 3 team fouls on St. Peter's.
St. Peter's can shoot the ball from the foul line. They're a very good foul shooting team, averaging in the 70 percentile. It's the only weakness that you see the Siena team have is their shooting percentages from the foul line overall. But it's not who and what, it's when and who puts it in when. And St. Peter's does a good job of it.
So Harris only makes 1 out of 2. She's at 22 right now, and it's a 6-point game. Just past halfway point of the second half. Saints 47 and the Peahens 41. Spermulo. Sony trying to get positioning inside. Cromer's in there in the middle of that defense, trying to keep the ball from getting down low. Baker doubled on the wing. And it's intercepted nicely by Gonzalez, who anticipated that pass. They had Harris down low, but they couldn't get to the basketball. Dickinson, 3. All nets.
And she can shoot the basketball when she gets a little daylight, and now we've got back to a 3-point lead again. So they cut an 8-point lead very, very quickly.
Yeah, third 3 of the game for Beth Ann Dickinson. She's got 10, and there you have it back down to 3 at 47-44. Well, we were talking about players of the week, and we're going to talk in a moment about the rookies of the week, the Chase MAAC Women's Rookie of the Week summary. We saw Ayanna Brown earlier, and she'll be in the final tomorrow night. Lindsey Gonzalez playing in this game. Liana Yansone. Now, when we go to the next board, I want you to read, well, you don't have to read much except Liana Yansone's name, because she'll be all over it. Look at the last 5 weeks.
The month of
just
February.
Change the name of the award.
You just take a look from the last day last couple of days in January right through the last week in February. This young woman has dominated the voting. She has been on fire.
It really made the voting for the Rookie of the Year, what you call in the business, a no-brainer.
That was a no-brainer. You saw that list, you knew what you had to do.
I think it was fairly easy, yeah. And Liana Yansone averaging 13 points, 9 boards. No player has ever won Rookie of the Week honors 5 straight weeks until Liana Yansone. The Chase MAAC Player of the Week and Rookie of the Year brought to you by Chase Manhattan Bank. The right relationship is everything. And, well, the relationship she has with Gina Castelli is everything. She has had a phenomenal season.
Well, Coach Castelli talked a little bit about Yansone. And, you know, she thinks it was just a hard first semester for her. It was the second semester she'd been on campus, but it takes a while for a foreign player to adjust everything. The language problem, you know, reading a book takes days longer when you're not familiar with the language. So she's really getting comfortable everywhere. And as she has, the play has just been elevated to a new level.
Lindsey Gonzalez picks up that foul as Anderson tried to create. So Erica Anderson, the sophomore, at the free throw line. Hey, everybody had, I had trouble adjusting to college. I didn't know you had to do homework.
That's right. And I could speak the language, right?
Yeah, well, I was from Brooklyn, so I had trouble at that point. But, yeah, homework and studying and all that. And I was a broadcast manager. I didn't think there was homework involved in this business.
Well, you just thought you could talk your way through, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Who needs a book? It's about talking, you know?
Well, you know, Coach Castelli brings the foreign students in a semester earlier to get them acclimated. Yansone spent a whole semester on campus before she started playing basketball with the team.
That's such a great idea.
It seems to help that, you know, they're not worried about absolutely everything when they're on campus for the first few days. I think that could be totally overwhelming for someone.
Well, this is the closest St. Peter's has been in the second half. Wicks' bucket makes it a 2-point game. St. Peter's was down 7 at halftime. It's 48-46, 8.5 to go in regulation. McKissick into the corner. Anderson. McKissick, she's got 10 in this game. 8 on the shot clock. And she'll try it from the baseline and leave it long. Look at Wicks jumping pretty high to grab that ball out of the air.
And they found some energy, St. Peter's, because they're playing now as if they're energized, and they've just got themselves a 2-point disadvantage.
Well, they're playing defense. I mean, in the second half, they gave up 31 first-half points. They've given up 17 in the first 12 minutes of the second half.
And they've really been all over. Gonzalez has done a great job on Anderson, and Anderson hasn't been able to deliver the ball as easily as she was. Gonzalez is picking her up right off the rebound.
Now, tough shot by Dickinson on a possession to tie Cecilia. That was a difficult shot to try and make, running in the lane and throwing up the one-hander like that. We'll see if Siena can capitalize on offense here. Jolene Johnston off to Anderson. We have a whistle and a foul off the ball on St. Peter's. They are not over the limit, so it will be Siena possession. But first, we have a timeout. 7:32 remaining in the second half. Siena 48, St. Peter's 46. Back with more in a moment on the MAAC Television Network. Welcome back to Buffalo in the HSBC Arena. Siena with a 2-point lead over St. Peter's. 7:32 left in the second half of this semifinal game. Let's take a look at the Citizens Communications long-distance shooter update. And Holly Tapley from Fairfield with a school record 78 threes, and she won the long-distance shooting contest, if you will, this season. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC, once again the proud sponsor of the MAAC Long-Distance Shooter of the Year. You can watch Holly in action tomorrow night at 7 as Fairfield takes on the winner of this matchup. Siena just 6 field goals in 12.5 minutes of the second half. And look at the defense by Cromer as she gets the block on Jansone.
And Jansone hasn't had a look at the basket, a clean look at the basket in the last 3 minutes of play.
This for the tie or a 3 for the lead. Gonzalez drives. Oh, look at that shot, in and out. Are you kidding me? What a circus shot by Gonzalez, and then the ball tied up. The arrow will favor Siena. On the other side, though, Cecilia, from a coaching standpoint, that's 2 possessions to tie, and they really haven't taken good shots.
They haven't taken good shots at all. And, you know, Coach Granelli wants the ball to go inside or they'll get to the ball in Harris's hands. And Baker's done a nice job on Harris. And Jansone has done the job defensively inside.
So, Siena dodging a bullet for a little bit. Boschko, Anderson. Baker's 3 is no good. Rebounding battle on the weak side, and Dickinson wins out with a nice block out on Boschko.
And the zone that St. Peter's has gone into has stymied Siena's shooting a little bit. They're not shooting very well from the outside. They're not looking and making the kind of pass that will stretch the zone.
Again, another possession for the tie or lead. Courtney Wicks. Cromer getting in the way, a little trouble there, and there's the tie ball game. Courtney Wicks knocks this one up at 48.
And you can see what her abilities are. They're calling for a 1-3-1 here. You'll see a little trap in the corner. They've got to move the basketball here.
So the pressure now, it certainly has shifted back to Siena Saints. There's a reach-in foul by Cromer on Gunta Boschko.
St. Peter's foul number 32, Leah Cromer. That's the
third personal foul on Cromer. It is the 6th team foul, so it's still a non-shooting situation. The next one, and they're over the limit. There's already 7 on the Saints.
And both teams are going to find themselves at the foul line in the last 5 minutes of play.
Now they're over the limit. That ball, I think it was intended for Jansone, but it never got to her, and Anderson tried to pick it up and was fouled by Lindsay Gonzalez. So now it's a 1-and-1 coming up for Erica Anderson, the sophomore for Siena, who is a 75% free throw shooter. But I know I threw out my free throw shooting stats. Sorry, I should have not remembered that number. I should have thrown that out.
Well, I think that she shoots well all the time.
Well, you look at Gina Castelli sweating this one out. Well, they've had a lead as large as 7. It was tied moments ago, and Anderson trying to restore a 2-point lead, and she does.
The zone has given Siena some trouble, and they need to pass the basketball, find Jansone on the block again, and get the ball good that they've been scoring from, which has been in the paint.
Let's check in again with Teal Stevens. Teal.
Guys, what St. Peter's has been doing so well, spreading their offense. They're running the double post spot at the elbow. And look at that nice move down the lane. But it also gives them the opportunity to take the shot from the outside, as you just saw in the last possession. Great job by St. Pete's in spreading the offense. Back to you.
Gonzalez with her first bucket of the game, tied at 50. 5:45 left in regulation. Boschko fouled Felicia Harris. And I don't think so, but she was there, and Courtney Wicks was there, and they may have actually called that one on Wicks. Yep, it did go on Wicks. Now, that is her 4th personal foul.
And Wicks has been quiet, and Coach Granelli has to make a decision now. Does he keep Wicks in, or does he save her for the last 4 minutes of play? Because she's someone that can make the last shot, take the last shot, and really light it up, and she hasn't done it yet today.
Wicks goes out. Layla Willis comes in. Check this baby out here, this note, okay? And we talked earlier about how Mike Granelli has had problems getting production from his bench. That basket by Gonzalez was the first bench points in this game for St. Peter's.
And yet the bench last night saved them.
Yeah.
It absolutely saved them. So.
But here we are, 30, I got to do math now. I hate when this happens. 20 plus 15, almost 35 minutes into the game before you get your first points from the bench. That's why I was a broadcast major. I didn't know math. Boschko hits them both. She's got 13 Siena back in front by 2 once again, 52-50. Putting on the pressure here. Gonzalez will take it herself, stripped by Spermulo, who picks it up. Basco looking for the feed, holding both arms up in the air, but she couldn't get the feed. McKissick with some room, now backs up. Yansoni battling with Cromer inside, trying to get position. They get it into Yansoni. And the basket and the foul. I thought maybe she dragged her feet a little bit, but Yansoni with a nice fall away and getting the basket and potentially 3 points.
Well, McKissick, again, I think you called it right though. I think she may have taken a step. I hope Coach Granelli can't see a TV, because if he does, he's going to be hollering about it, because this is a big 3-point play. Now you put them up by 5. Just a second ago, you just saw just a 3-point lead.
55-50. You see the clock, 5:11 and counting left in the second half. St. Peter's has pretty much had to play from behind most of this game. They had a lead small early in the game. The last time they had the lead, it was 10-9. They've been pretty much from behind since. Now tied, though, the last few minutes. That was Siena's first field goal in 6 minutes and 8 seconds, by the way. Quite a drought. Blocking foul on McKissick and Gonzalez. Both of them hit the floor pretty hard. As you see, Gonzalez slow getting up. But again, you have to wonder, Cecilia, about the shot selection. I mean, they're lucky they're going to go to the foul line, because that was a circus shot attempt.
Well, Gonzalez really hasn't had good control when she's gone down. She really just tosses it up and hopes that she'll continue to get hit. What St. Peter's has done is they've really flattened it out. They've extended, as Teal mentioned, they've extended their offense, and what they're doing now is just driving to the basket. Harris has been successful, but she has been quiet. And Gonzalez gets to the foul line. She had a great game last night. She's looking for a little bit more of the same.
All net on the first free throw. Just a freshman for Lindsey Gonzalez is. You look at Mike Granelli. He's in the St. Peter's Hall of Fame. 552 wins. That's unbelievable. 29th year at St. Peter's.
And he is as enthusiastic as he was 29 years ago about the game of basketball.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look like a guy who's ready to retire anytime soon.
No, he's here for the long haul.
Hey, 29 years is a long haul.
No, how long is a long haul?
3-point Siena lead. Look at the skip pass by Bosco. Anderson's three, and she's got it. Great passing by Bosco to the opposite side, and Anderson cans a big three.
Last 2 possessions have resulted in 3-point shots. One, the Yansoni, and Anderson makes the steal and makes the shot. So, boy, I'll tell you, Anderson's having a heck of a night.
Siena has opened up an 8-point lead. It was 50-50, so they're on a 10-2 run since that last tie. Gonzalez blocked by Audra Spermulo, and Gina Castelli a step or two out on the court in disbelief of that call. And instead, St. Peter's will go back to the free throw.
Well, this is the time when everybody has to gather emotions, because the last 4 minutes of this ball game are going to determine the champion. And right now, Siena's in control.
Well, Lindsey Gonzalez back at the foul line where she just hit a couple a moment ago. You see Courtney Wicks checking back in with her 4 personal fouls. Look at this pass by Bosco.
Goes cross court. Anderson steps up as if she's done this a dozen times today. Trains it and makes the steal coming back. And then very next play to take it down. It's a 5-point play for her.
Anderson led Siena in 3-pointers made this season. She had 42. And that was her first of the game tonight. 60-53. Gonzalez has one more free throw coming. It's a 6-point game. 4:08 and counting left in regulation. In the meantime, Fairfield is watching and hoping for, triple overtime, you think? Hoping these teams beat each other out down the stretch?
At this point, you just want them to have to work very, very hard.
Know what I said? Fairfield was hoping for it. I did not say we were hoping for it. I don't want to get the crew mad at me. Spermulo on the wing. McKissick, 10 on the shot clock. Bosco inside, tried to get it to Yansoni. It does eventually. 5 on the shot clock. Spermulo creates, can't get it to fall, and Cromer grabs the rebound.
Well, St. Peter's has elected to stay in that zone and make Siena pass the ball in order for them to get a shot. And they're double stacking now, just driving to the basket.
Nice drive by Gonzalez, but she can't get it to fall. She had some daylight, but couldn't get that one to go down. Siena back the other way. Will pull it back out and take some time. Up 6. Boschko loses her feet, but able to get the ball back to Spremula. Anderson calls out the set. Boschko popping out. McKissick, nice ball movement. Jansoni doubled. Good kick out. 3 in the air. And it's in and out.
And
that was on the way down and popped right out.
And Jansoni felt the pressure behind her from Cromer and decided to kick it back out. Well, that would have been good. That would have been backbreaker.
Yeah, that would have been a 9-point game. Instead, it's 6. Wicks, little push off. Nope, a lot of push off. They'll call it a charge, and she's fouled out. Courtney Wicks using the right arm to create some space and has fouled out of the game. That'll take us to break. 2:42 left in the second half. Siena with the 6-point lead in this MAAC semifinal.
What are those stories?
That about people.
Let's try an interval of about 15 milliseconds. Because that's half of what the PISA was.
The aspects of the retreat, like you talked about friendship.
Also about what that knowledge means for the human spirit. I know that students are concerned about it.
This game is brought to you in part by HSBC, your world of financial services. The Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. And by Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything.
Buffalo, Howard Simon, Cecilia DeMarco, and Teal Stevens. We've got an exciting women's game here. Siena trying to hang on in this semifinal, up 60-54. This copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC properties. Siena 2 minutes and 42 seconds away from getting back to the MAAC final for the second time. The first time occurring, ironically, here in Buffalo a couple of years ago. But this game is far from done. It's just a 2-possession game right now. And a big possession here for the Saints. Boschko handling the pressure. Pretty good ball handler for a big girl, and able to get it off to Sasha Baker. Baker directing traffic. Jansone. Boschko battling with Harris underneath. Boschko draws the foul. Well, Harris was trying to push her and keep her away from the basket as much as possible, but eventually she's able to get in there and draw the foul, and she'll have 2 shots coming up.
And she's so dangerous with her back to the basket. She doesn't just ask for the ball. She's able to get it, put it down, spin, and get a foul out of it. And she's a good foul shooter. So look in all of the possessions in the next couple of minutes for them to be looking to her. And she's a good enough passer to find other people if she's double teamed.
Mike Brunelli seeing Courtney Wicks foul out moments ago. Gina Castelli trying to get her team back within 1 win of getting their first ever NCAA tournament appearance since they came into the MAAC. Boschko hits them both. She's got 15 to go with 8 boards. It's an 8-point lead. That is the largest of the game for Siena.
And Siena's trying to slow them down a little bit with this press so that use some time on the clock.
Cromer, right side, Dickinson. Spots for the 3. Nice job by Boschko to get out there and get a piece of it. She can't keep it from going out of bounds. But it looked like Dickinson had some daylight there for a second, and in came Boschko and got a piece of the shot.
And she came from nowhere, and she has just a great wingspan. She went over, and she just caught a piece of that ball, preventing the 3. Now, Siena just needs to be smart about if it chooses to foul, let's not do it on a drive, because you don't want to give a 3-point play up.
Boschko blocks the shot from Harris, and then it goes out of bounds off of St. Peter's. Boy, Boschko doing a great job defensively. That's her 3rd block of the game. Or did they call timeout? So it will be Siena timeout.
Well, think about what Boschko has done in the last 3 possessions. If we take a look here, she stops the drive, blocks the shot, gets a good piece of it. Harris has had a tough time with her in this half. goes down strong on the ball and is going towards the end line, and this time the official did see the timeout signal. But if you take a look at the last couple of possessions, on the offensive end, Bosco asks for the ball, scores. On the defensive end, she blocks a three-point shot, just deflects Dickinson's, and now is able to block a second shot. So in a matter of 30 seconds, she's come up with 2 points, and she's blocked 2 shots.
You know, we talked about defense helping St. Peter's get back into this game, but really, Cecilia, in the last few minutes, since they tied the game at 48 first, it's been St. Peter's struggling and Siena making defensive plays, because we've talked about bad shot selection by the Peahens. Well, there's a reason why. It's because Siena's tightened up defensively, and there haven't been too many open looks the last few minutes for the Peahens.
No, and Siena, Coach Castelli at the end of the ball game last night talked about her defense, didn't talk about her offense, just said how proud she was about her team and that the way that they were willing to play defensively.
McKissick and Bashko play catch. They're still playing catch. Bashko inside, off the glass and in. That's the play a player of the year makes for you.
And that's what she does the last 4 possessions, all about her.
Well, in crunch time, you want your top players making plays, and they've been doing it. Mike Grinelli calls for a timeout as St. Peter's crossed the mid-court stripe, but it's a 10-point lead now with 1:21 to go, and Siena has their largest lead of the game. Gina Castelli talking it over with her assistant coaches. Well, let's talk about what's coming up. We are far from done, by the way. We got plenty more basketball, so don't go anywhere. We have men's quarterfinal action continuing. It'll be the Western New York War, Niagara and Canisius, to tip at 7. And that'll be followed by the Siena men taking on Manhattan. That should be a great game at 9. Manhattan sweeping the regular season series from the Saints. Men's semifinal doubleheader tomorrow at noon. We know that Marist and Iona will be in the first matchup, and then the 2 winners from tonight's game playing at 2:30. Fairfield against perhaps Siena for the women's title tomorrow night at 7. The men's bid goes out Monday night in a 7 o'clock game. Again, the men's championship here in Buffalo. Well, Siena talking things over. We've talked about defense. Siena 10-0 this season when they hold their opponent under 60 points. They're in good shape right now to do that. And, you know, we talked also about St. Peter's. Normally, they're a team that plays defensively, but they did get good offense this season. In fact, they were the 3rd best offense in the league. They averaged 75. Only once have they been held under 60 all season long. So, again, Siena's a flashy team offensively, and they have balance, and they have great weapons. And maybe people don't appreciate the defensive side of things, but, you know, I've always thought that's what gets you to and wins championships, and they're displaying it in this game.
They're doing everything right. They're taking good shots. Defensively, they're making St. Peter's adjust shots, and that's what good defensive teams do.
Look at the tip there. McKissick tips the pass.
Bosco again has a hand on it. Now look for them to run the clock. They're a smart team. They're going to use some time. St. Peter's might foul and have to foul soon because they've got a 10-shot foul situation. You've got kids going to the line for 2 shots.
And there's some pretty good free throw shooters. Baker with 8 on the clock. Baker to the basket. The hoop on the foul, and that one might wrap this one up. Sasha Baker, the senior. They talked about her slashing ability, and boy, did she show it there. Cut right through the lane with the basket and the foul.
Well, that may have just sealed it, Howard, because if you're going to foul someone as she goes for the basket, you can't allow her to make the score, because if you do, it's a 3-point play. Baker does such a good job here. She's got nowhere to go. She turns her body, faces the glass, lays it up, gets hit, gives you the 2 fists going down, knowing what it means.
Well, it's a 16-4 run, by the way, now for Siena, since this game was tied at 50. And Baker completes the 3-point play.
And I have to believe that St. Peter's just didn't have one more run left in them. And with what Manhattan put them through last night and how, you know, they worked hard to come back. They were just within 2 with a 6 with 4:08 left. That's not a lot of points for St. Peter's. St. Peter's didn't have it in them.
Baker trying to get the strip, reaching in and fouling Beth Dickinson. She might have jammed her right hand. She's shaking it a little bit. She'll go to the free throw line with 43.8 seconds left in this one. As you take a good look at Gunta Bashko, the Pepsi player of the game. 17 points, 9 rebounds, solid at the free throw line, and unofficially 3 blocks as well. The Pepsi player of the game is Gunta Bashko. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi, and it has been a joy for Gina Castelli to watch Gunta Bashko perform in this game. First free throw is hit to make it a 12-point game, and Gina Castelli and St. Peter's, thought Castelli called that one. I think Siena called that timeout, a 30-second timeout, and they're just going to talk things over, set their defense up, and also, but more importantly, tell them, hey, when you get the ball back, you don't need points.
You don't need points.
Spread it out and hang on to it.
You don't want to do anything silly. You certainly want to be protective of yourself. Don't go flying into the bleachers for a loose ball right now. We have another ball game tomorrow. And, you know, I'll tell you, Vasco, one of the things that you mentioned, Howard, that her 3 blocks came when St. Peter's needed shots. She blocked a drive. She blocked a 3-point shot. She had the presence of mind to call a timeout. She has played like the MVP of the tournament. She has played like the MVP of the league. And what a ball game she has had.
Dickinson has one more free throw coming up. She's got 11 in this game. All net on that one as well. St. Peter's has to put on some pressure here. And it's going to be probably a procession to the free throw line for the Saints. Saints haven't trailed in this baby since 11-10. They took it was a 10-9 St. Peter's lead early in the first half, about 6 minutes in. Siena went up 11-10, and they've never been behind in this game since. They were caught a couple of times at 48 and again at 50. But then Siena has put on this run.
Well, with 6 minutes left in the game, 6:12 to be exact, it was 48 all. And then again, with 4:50 left in the game, it was still just a 3-point ball game. But since that point, since that 4:55-minute mark, it's really been all Siena.
Well, the semifinals have been nightmarish for Siena for quite some time. It's the 5th straight year they're in it. They were 1-3 up until today, but they're about to go 2-3. Felicia Harris with some authority hanging onto the basketball, and we'll head to the free throw line.
Well, Felicia Harris in the first half just put on a display of driving to the basket. She picked up where she left off last night, but she may have just run out of gas, and she's just done it all. She's been on the court for a lot of minutes.
22 points in this game, and she'll try and add to that total here. We are getting you ready for men's basketball coming up after we're done here. Niagara and Canisius will play in the quarterfinals. Doug Sherman and Jack Armstrong waiting to bring you that game. It's going to be a good crowd on hand here with the 2 Western New York teams playing for just the 4th time in MAAC tournament history. Harris now with 23. They just played about 9 days ago up at Niagara, and Canisius spanked them. They beat them by 15. Their inside game had their way with the Purple Eagles, and it'll be interesting to see how Niagara comes back if they respond to that. Canisius expecting to be bumped, and bumped a lot tonight in that quarterfinal game.
Well, you know, it's tournament time, and you just can't call it. And with the men's, it's really been up for, I mean, you just toss them out there. That's just been a mess in terms of who steps up. The women have played true to form. You know, the 1 and 2 seed, it looks as if with 37 seconds left, we can safely say that Siena, the 1 seed, is going to be in the finals with Fairfield, the 2 seed. And that is going to be a great finish to the season. The 2 best teams in the league representing the MAAC conference in the championship round, with a chance that both will end up in postseason play.
I think MAAC officials are fairly confident that will happen. The winner gets the automatic bid, but they feel the loser, Siena or Fairfield tomorrow night, will get an at-large bid. Jansoni inside, can't get it to fall down. Ball tapped out of bounds. It'll be over to the Peahens of St. Peter's. I mean, you're looking at Fairfield, which is now at 25 wins. Siena will now have 23, which, by the way, will tie the school record for most wins in a season. Both with RPIs in the top 50, between 40 and 50. The MAAC, pretty strong RPI as a conference, 15 out of 32. I mean, it should be able to get them in.
Well, a lot depends on what will happen with other teams and how
you never know what else happens
you know,
around
who
the
gets
country.
beat where and how many teams really have to be sent. But in the Northeast region or in the East region, teams this year, they're not going to send as many teams from the Big East. They're not going to send as many teams from the America East. This is the year that the MAAC conference might very well get 2 teams in.
Felicia Harris through the double team, and look at the scoop. Nice little shot there from Natasha Phillip of St. Peter's. This game is going into the record books, and Siena is headed to the MAAC tournament final for the 2nd time in school history. Both times coming here in Buffalo. The top seed prevails with a closing kick. This game was tied at 50, and the closing kick puts Siena in the final tomorrow night opposite the number 2 seed Fairfield Stags. The final once again, Siena beating St. Peter's 69-59. Back to wrap it up, and don't forget, still 2 men's games to come here in Buffalo on the MAAC Television Network. Back in Buffalo at the MAAC tournament, a 14th straight win for Siena sends them into the MAAC championship game opposite Fairfield. 69-59 the final over St. Peter's. And let's go over to Teal Stevens, who has the victorious head coach. Teal?
Hey, thanks very much, guys. I'm here with Coach Gina Castelli. Coach, what a wonderful win. What was your game plan going into today's game against a very tough St. Peter's team?
We just really wanted to play great defense and rebound the ball. Those were our two keys in today's game, and they've been the keys for the tournament. So I thought our players did a good job. In the first 5 minutes, I thought we didn't play as well as we needed to start out, but we settled in, and I thought we did a good job with that.
And you kept telling the kids to go inside.
Yeah.
Were you happy with that?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously everybody knows our inside game is what we go to, and I really think at the end that's really what you need to do is go inside. I thought we were playing well together as a team at times offensively, and we needed to move the ball better and look to Gunther, look to Liane better in the posts. They've been scoring there. They were scoring there all day, so I thought we did a decent job with that.
At what point during the game were you able to take a little sigh of relief?
No time. I mean, even at the end when Gunther fouled, St. Peter's is such a dangerous team, and they're so well coached that there's no time you can really relax.
Now, you've been to the finals many times, but you've never made it to the NCAA tournament. And how do you feel against going up a Fairfield team that is the only team you've lost to this year?
Well, I think it's great that we're both there, and I think that we've both teams have worked hard to get there, and I'm happy that we're playing Fairfield. I think that they're a good program. They've done well all year, and I'm just happy to be able to be in the championship game, and now we want to try to finish it, and that's what our goal is.
Okay, Coach Castelli, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and I'd love to bring in our MAAC player of the game, Gunther Bosco. Gunther, what a phenomenal game. 17 points. I think you had 9 boards. Did you feel good?
Well, yeah, I feel good. Definitely, we won the game, so I guess I feel good, yeah.
What motivates you when you're out there? You're only a sophomore. What motivates you to take the shots, go after the loose balls, go after the rebounds?
My coach, my team, everything, everybody. I mean, crowd definitely motivates me. I mean, I like playing when crowd is around, so everything.
You also pass the ball really well. Your assist record must be really up there, but is it fun having Jansoni in there to pass the ball to?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. Congratulations. Enjoy the victory. Back to you, Howie.
All right, Teal, thank you very much. 4 players in double figures for Siena, and they are in the championship game opposite Fairfield. Still much more basketball to come. We'll return to Buffalo in a moment on the MAAC Television Network. Howard Simon, Cecilia DeMarco, and Teal Stevens back in Buffalo. Siena beating St. Peter's 69-59. The MAAC tournament women's semifinal game in the record books. Balance, we saw that. 4 players in double figures. We saw defense when it needed to be done. We saw young players contribute, and we saw a lot from Siena today. We saw what basically Siena fans have seen this whole regular season.
Well, Howard, you take a look at 5 minutes left in the game, 5:42 to be exact. It's a 2-point ball game, 52-50 in favor of Siena. From that point on, Siena took over. Now, part of it is that Siena played a whale of a ball game. Gunther, Liana, you could go on and on about Erica Anderson, the way that she handled the point with just 1 turnover in 37 minutes of play. But the name of the game in the last 5 minutes was how late was St. Peter's having to play last night. They finished at about midnight. They ran out of gas. They didn't have another run in them. And Siena kept getting them to an 8-7 point disadvantage. St. Peter's would come back with all of its effort, just ran out of gas. And Mike Grinelli, what a terrific job coaching. His kids so ready to play, never wanting to stop playing. But Siena, it was all Siena. And Siena deserves the right tomorrow to be the #1 seed against a Fairfield team that will match up so beautifully. It will be just a great ball game to be part of.
Let's look at some of the stats in this game. Fairly close. I mean, when you look at some of the numbers in this game, field goal percentage, free throw percentage, 3-pointers. The turnovers is a big difference, 2-1. 18 turnovers for St. Peter's. The rebounding, the PNs actually had the advantage, but St. Peter's coming out on the short end on the scoreboard, which is where it matters most, to set up the championship game tomorrow night. Well, everything held form. I mean, the tournament went as expected. The top 2 seeds have advanced. Fairfield out of the bottom half of the bracket, beating Loyola this morning, and Siena in the top half of the bracket in their second ever MAAC final. They've never won this tournament. That's the lone goal remaining for Gina Castelli, and she'll have another shot, ironically, here in Buffalo, where she made a name for herself as a player at Canisius College. Will have another shot to take on Fairfield in what I think will be an up-tempo game and a tremendous basketball game tomorrow night.
Well, you talk about Gina being a hometowner. Well, her whole family is behind her. She has a cheering section that is bleeding Siena. So, you know, I don't know if Fairfield is going to be able to match the enthusiasm of a Buffalo crowd in Siena's behalf. But, you know, Fairfield comes a little bit differently. They come wanting to take the next step. Coach Castelli said something very interesting. They were just happy to get here. Now they wanted to make the next step. But Fairfield was not happy getting to the end of the tournament.
They want to win it.
They want to win it. They felt they should have won it last year. So you have a whole different focus. And how Gina Castelli gets her team thinking beyond the celebration of tonight to tomorrow might make the difference.
We'll see you tomorrow night at 7. We'll be back with that tomorrow night. But we still have more action coming up. Niagara and Canisius are going through their warm-ups. MAAC basketball continues on the MAAC Television Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to the HSBC Arena in Buffalo. We are between games. The Siena women have just defeated St. Peter's to move on to tomorrow night's MAAC Women's Championship game to be played at 7 o'clock. This is Doug Sherman. At this point, we send it over to Teal Stevens, standing by. Teal?
Hey, thanks very much, Doug. I'm here with the Executive Director of HSBC Arena, Ron Berdovich. Ron, thanks so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Tell me, what is the most fun part of your job?
I think it's hosting events like this. Obviously, we have the Buffalo Sabres here, and we have 40-some home games every year. We draw great. We lead the league, close to the top of the league in attendance. But when you can bring events like this in, whether it's a MAAC tournament or NCAA events, it's a lot of fun. You just bring so many visitors to Western New York, and they really enjoy themselves here.
And are the ticket sales up?
Ticket sales are up this year. We have 2 hometown teams playing in this game right here, Canisius Niagara. Obviously, one of them will advance to the semifinals, so we'll see what happens. But support's been great so far.
And would you like to get more people involved in the rotation of the NCAA events?
Well, I think we'd like to have it here as often as we can. We had the first and second rounds here last year. We get them again in 2004. We have the Frozen Four in 2003. And then we'll bid for some future events also down the road.
Well, we want to thank you very much for being so involved in the MAAC. You've done a terrific job. And just tell me real quick, it's the 20th anniversary of the MAAC. What's your most memorable moment?
Well, I go back a ways with the MAAC 20 years. 20 years ago this year, I was the sports information director at Iona College, one of the original members. And the MAAC original offices were actually in our offices. They had 2 tables, 2 phones, no computers. They had a telecopier back then, and that's where it all started. And look what it's evolved into today. They've done a great, great job, these schools.
Ron, thanks very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Back to you, Doug.
All right, thank you, Teal. We'll take a break from Buffalo. We've got the men's quarterfinals, last 2 games coming up shortly on the MAAC Television Network. Back in Buffalo at the HSBC Arena, we've got Canisius and Niagara, the Battle of Western New York, the quarterfinal coming up, to be followed by the Manhattan College Jaspers against the Siena College Saints. We're in the midst of a long afternoon and evening of Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference basketball here in Buffalo. Well, coming up for the Niagara Purple Eagles, Shea Cohen, young man with a very interesting story coming off the bench. Let's take a look.
Having spent the mandatory 3 years in the Israeli army after high school, junior forward Shea Cohen has a couple of years on his teammates at Niagara University. Age aside, Cohen, like the 5 other international players on the NU basketball roster, is most appreciative of the opportunity to play NCAA Division I basketball. But he's just as appreciative of the chance to earn a degree and is making definite career plans for life after basketball.
I'm more concerned about my education right now. And I think that having that mentality here and trying to do that, I think I'm showing the other guys in a way that basketball is not everything, and they need to appreciate that we have education too, that we're getting something that not everybody can get. I'm a scrappy player. I'm not going to deny it. I'm trying to work hard every day in practice, trying to work out every day on the court every day. I'm stepping up. Just do the little things that are not showing in the stats. It doesn't bother me if I don't score, or I don't, like Coach say, if I don't take the rebounds, it doesn't really matter as long as whoever I'm guarding is not taking the rebounds. If the monitor will take 10 rebounds every game and my guy will take 2, I did my job and we win. That's great.
But what I love even more about Shea Cohen is that he's your classic overachiever. I mean, he just leaves everything out on the floor. Maybe not blessed with the greatest athleticism, but takes what he was given and just makes up for all of his deficiencies with a great work ethic and a great spirit and great enthusiasm.
I'm experiencing a lot of things, diverse, meeting new people, trying to deal with a lot of people in all kind of level of ages or mentalities or everything. I think it's going to help me in the future. Human resources, that's where my field is going. I think it's going to help me doing that, dealing with all kind of people from all kind of backgrounds. It's great. It's a great experience with basketball. I don't know how far I'm going to go. If I will, I know that I've really developed my game over here. I really worked hard, and I got a fair chance to show that I'm capable of playing. I didn't get a real good chance in Israel to do that. That's the reason I came here. And I'm glad I came to Niagara. It's not a huge school, it's not a big school. And I had an opportunity to step up and just start playing. And I'm thankful for that. Thankful every day that I can do that. I mean, after all, it's Division I. I can't ask more than that. It's really a dream coming true.
Shea Cohen and the rest of the Niagara Purple Eagles getting ready to take on their Western New York counterparts from Canisius. We've got more on that when we come back on the MAAC Television Network.